Welcome to the March 8th, 2022 Revere Commission on Disabilities meeting. Welcome, everyone. If we could salute the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, before we begin our meeting, I basically wanted to have a moment of silence for Massachusetts State Trooper Tamar Bucci, who tragically lost her life last week. And her services are being held at St. Anthony's Padua Church here in Revere this evening. Her visitations and her funeral and memorial of her life is being celebrated tomorrow at St. Anthony's Padua Church at 11 a.m. So if we could just have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. If we could have Vice Chair Perno, if you could do a roll call of the members.
Absolutely. So Ralph DeChico, you are
Present.
Pauline Perno is present. Asma Abu Fouda.
Present.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Mario Gramanis.
Present.
Where'd you go, Mario?
Present. I'm right here. I don't know. Something
Okay.
happened, I think, to the camera. I'm right
That's
here.
Okay, and Jason Barone.
Yep, right here.
Okay, thank you. Robert Brown, good evening.
Hi, present. Good evening.
Okay, and Enza Goodwin.
Is absent.
She covering CPAC?
No, she's absent tonight.
Is there a CPAC? She's absent. Okay,
She's absent tonight.
okay.
All right. Next, we have item 2 is updates and next steps from the February meeting. I'm going to start with Asma, because she has something that she wants to talk about, and then she's going to be she's at another meeting right now. So she's came on to this right now. So she's going to talk about some information that she has for the ASL interpreters that she found. So Asma, if you can give us a brief update on that, and thank you for attending this tonight also.
Thank you, Rob. So yes, I mentioned before about the sign language, and actually I contacted the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and they got back to me last Friday. They told me that they will offer the live interpretation, but we just need to let them know like within 2 weeks notice, and to fill out an application online. And actually, I started to fill it out, and hopefully it should be ready for next meeting.
Okay.
And also, I'm trying to get have the sign language for the other translation for the city as well.
And you've been talking to who you've been talking to in the city? We have a new person at the city, Dr.
Parr, yeah.
From the
yes,
city.
I have a meeting with her tomorrow, and I will mention that to her as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to try and implement this through all different meetings with the city to have an ASL interpreter.
Yes, yeah.
It's working on that, and it's an initiative that we can work on together. All right. Well, thank you, and you'll want so you're having a meeting tomorrow with her, and then hopefully by next month we'll have some more information.
Yes, I
thank
hope.
you for spearheading that and taking that on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We
Excellent.
also had
Thank you for
anybody have any questions on that?
No,
Okay.
exciting.
Seeing none. Jason, I'm not sure if you were able to get any follow-up on the MBTA, the ride.
Actually, wasn't able to get anything to get through to anybody. I took 3 months to even get a response from an application I did for a job. Actually, I just got the response the other day.
I have something that I found.
Yeah.
That actually the MBTA actually is looking to hire a new deputy director for paratransit customer communications.
Wow. Okay. Well, did that just come up? Did that just come up? Yeah.
That came up beginning of last week.
Wow.
So basically with that job description, it's going to be the Office of Transportation Access, which is the RIDE. So the
Yeah.
deputy director is going to serve as a liaison between the MBTA and its customers and all external stakeholders with respect to the MBTA's transit division, the RIDE.
Right.
This role will function as the key customer advocate when working with internal staff, vendors, and internal external stakeholders to improve the overall effectiveness of the entire transparent operation.
Good, because that's about time they do something like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're looking to hire someone. So that's a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
So I figured I wanted to share that information.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to definitely talk with my the guy that works at for employee engagement. See
Yeah,
about-
and there's more information. There's more information on the MBTA site. You want to find some more about that posting and job description on that.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm going to talk to him about that and try to, see the ways to punch it up and try to, because they need somebody that actually has a disability too, really, to be honest, because the problem is that they've never done that. Hired enough, and most of the places don't have someone that is really, most people that work for it generally do not have a disability, or they have something that's hidden,
Right.
and it's not the same as having
Exactly.
a functional, visual, or something that's out there that can make a huge difference in how
Right.
you do your operations.
Exactly. So yes, so hoping that information helps.
Appreciate it. Thank you. No, definitely. I'm glad to hear that. It's hard to get through to them. I mean,
Yeah.
to call the T is like a round
Right.
robin tree.
Right.
And and finally a lot of complaints don't, you get a number and then all they get is an I'm sorry. And so after a while you just get like, well, what am I here for?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I
appreciate
actually,
that, Rob.
Yeah, I actually neglected to make sure that everybody received the minutes from our last month's meeting. And if everybody was able to go over it, if there was any questions, or if anybody wanted to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 8th.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
No questions on it? Everything was fine? Approved. Thank you. Okay, so I also have one more update. I know Pauline had mentioned as a late item of our meeting last month, the signage down on Revere Beach.
Yes.
And I had updated that I had got in touch with Julie DeMauro of the city of Revere, and she was getting in touch with DCR. And they were going to be rectifying that situation. I did go down there last week and noticed that the sign on the opposite side of the barracks has been replaced and fixed. The one on the left side, they have to put a new pole. So what they temporarily did is they put the one in the middle of the street. I don't know if you've noticed that one, Pauline.
No, because somebody flattened it.
Okay, so they'll put another one there, but
Right now it's free for all. I was just down there. I actually came back up the beach about 4:45, and even though you do have a sign on one side, it's not visible enough. It's still a high traffic area. They're going to have to do something. I mean, we're already in March. We're quickly approaching the summer months, and this city wants to be up and coming and attract more people. And you already have the dates for these sandcastles. You're going to be looking at, I mean, today alone, just with the things that are going on at St. Anthony's, the amount of traffic, it's just incredible that they're really not ramping things up and stepping up to where they need to be. But as far as the signage in the middle of the street, that's actually,
they will be putting it. Yeah, they'll be putting a new pole up on the other side.
good. They're
So
going
that'd
to
be-
need it in something to
and I'll be
illuminate it.
doing follow-up. I'll be doing follow-up with the Revere Partnership because I'm working with them for trying to get
Okay.
some other types of signalization and
Right. And when is that, Ralph?
what was that?
When is that update for the partnership? Your next meeting with them?
I'm just going to do a communication with them. There's not,
All right. I
Yeah.
didn't know if there was
no,
a formal.
meeting scheduled, but I'm just going to in communications with them all the time.
Okay, great.
Anybody have any questions on that or anything else they wanted to add? Okay. Item number 3 is the Cpac February updates and March events. Enza had sent this over to me. In February, Cpac hosted a live Zoom meeting on February 10th. in conjunction with school committee members Stacy Rizzo and Aisha Milbury Ellis. Also, Dr. Galucci and Miss Joanne Rizzo from the Revere Public Schools are in attendance. She wanted to extend a special thanks for CLD members in attendance, myself and Mr. Brown. The meeting offered parents an opportunity to ask questions on behalf of their child. It was a well-attended meeting, which resulted in robust, open conversations, and they hope to offer opportunities like this again soon. Also, Cpac will be hosting an autism awareness planning meeting 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, March 9th, at the Revere Parks and Recreation Building at 150 Revere Street. Anyone is
I
welcome
believe
to
you can.
attend that meeting. Because of COVID concerns, they are not going to be hosting a walk in April as they have in the past. I hope with this meeting is to plan some events for the schools in the city. As I mentioned, all are welcome to attend. More details to follow about this event next month regarding what was talked about and what was anything was planned or decided. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments on that. Not sure if anybody is going to be attending that. Robert?
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to pull it up real quick. They actually canceled the
Yeah.
meeting for tomorrow and
Okay.
they scheduled it for March 16th at 3:30.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't get that communication, but I figured you might have gotten that. So it's been moved to March 16th.
Great. Same time, guys?
3:30.
Okay, great. Thank you, Robert.
No problem.
Thank you. I figured you were on there. You're on their Twitter feed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. Are you going to be attending that? Do you know of or?
I will be, yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? Do you have any insight of the February meeting, Robert, or?
Honestly, I thought it went really well. I really, regardless, and with Stacy and Joanne and the other team the other team members that were there, I applaud them for coming in the metaphorical punching bag and offering all of their input and being able to listen to everybody, and so no, I thought it was very good, and hopefully there's more, whether it's quarterly or what have you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. Next item is item number 4, was the CODA Commission on Disabilities Alliance. It's a monthly Zoom meeting, which was held on March 3rd, which was last Wednesday, that I attend monthly. And we briefly, what was talked about at that meeting was how other municipalities are working with live captioning and meeting transcriptions. Other communities were talking about how they're looking for accessibility widgets that could be installed over a web page to make it more possible for individuals to customize the website appearance based on their accessibility needs and preferences. That's one thing that we're ahead of the curve on the city website. They made sure that they were in all ADA compliance, and they followed. There's a spectrum. It's escaping my mind right now. There's a full gamut that you're supposed to follow for website design, and the city of Revere did have a contractor that followed that. If you could take a look at it, when you take a look at the website, it is very compliant. The fonts are the correct size, the colors are the correct size on it. They have the translation options available on any web page that you have. So that's one thing is this administration made sure that they're ahead of the curve on the city's website, which is great. The other thing that we're also trying to do in the city is to make sure that any written communication is also following those guidelines. I get a lot of questions from different departments when they want to put something out, a flyer or whatnot. If they show it to me and I say that their font is a little too small or the color scheme isn't correct, I ask them if they can change it, or I'll bump it up, especially for people that are visually impaired, or not even visually impaired. Some people, the font is a little too small, or the backgrounds, the color scheme is not correct. It could be a white writing on a background that doesn't transcend good enough for people that are visually impaired to see. So that's one thing that we are really striving for. So that's what's good on there. A couple other things that were addressed at that meeting is how some of the cities and towns are working with what's called parklets or outside dining. How they're addressing that and how decisions are being made on that. Because of COVID, it brought that to the forefront of having outside dining. So they want to make sure that how cities and towns are keeping that in place, to make sure that there's accessibility for everyone to have their clear path and walkway. And not only that, also make sure that they meet the ADA accessibilities for the dining itself, for the tables, the chairs, make sure that they're wheelchair accessible, mobility accessible for people that tend to use any type of an aid, walking aid, to be able to use that. So that was one of the concerns, to make sure that there's no barriers on that. Trying to think, one other issue is they had talked about, once again, how fines are levied for violations. And it was talked about from different communities that each community, it's not governed by the ADA, how fines are levied. Each city and town can address how they issue fines for different types of parking violations and so forth. As Pauline knows, I've been trying to work on it and will hopefully be able to work on it this year, is try and initiate that any parking violations for handicap parking, parking spaces, people are using them out without placards or handicap plates parking them, that those fees will come to the Commission on Disabilities to use for handicap accessible projects or programs. But that has to be done, and an ordinance has to be changed through the city council. So it has to be adopted by them. So it's a little bit of legwork to go through. And I will put that on my forefront, as I do every year, but it seems like every year something seems to come up, as we know, with COVID, and everything gets pushed to the back burner. It's not, the money is getting collected, but it's just not
Getting to where it needs to go.
Yeah, it's not, and cities and towns can adopt it. Some do, some don't, but I'd like to see that get adopted so that we'd be able to use it for things that we want to see get done without having to go through special legislation. We still would have to get approval, of course, to use that money for different needs, but at least it'll be allocated to a fund that way.
Right.
So that's basically, yeah, what was on that. Just turn my page. I think that's all I had for item number 4. Item number 5 is commission members' late items. Does any commission member have any late items? Because I didn't get anything back that anybody wanted me to put anything on the agenda, but does anyone have any item that they wanted to discuss?
I have
Pauline?
one. It just came to my attention. It's not so much something to discuss, but it's just to put out there for our viewers. There is a plan that's being put together through the city and through the First Congregational Church, the one that does the food pantry, and one of the doggy daycares, Sandy's Four Paws. She is in communication, Sandy, who is the owner, is in communication with, her name's Wendy, that does the food pantry, to try to start what they would like to call a pet pantry for owners that qualify. Certainly it would be the elderly, disabled, people that have dogs specifically, to help them out if they're, having to decide, do they get pet food or do they get food for themselves? Things such as that. It is in the very, very early planning stages. I just wanted to mention it quickly. I've known Sandy for a very long time, and she is very much a proponent of pets, and also looking into the disabled community and the elderly community who own pets. As part of, there was a program that was kind of tossed around at one time. It's not in the city yet, but it's where people can foster these dogs and have them for their benefit, but the food and the care is all taken care of through a different organization. So it's something that she's looking into. She's in communication with Wendy. Just wanted to put it out there for if anyone is watching and you do go to First Congregational Church for the food pantry, to watch for some flyers or for some further information. I think it's a great idea personally. I know that food insecurity and food difficulties right now are still a huge problem here in the city, and
Very high, very high.
extremely high. And for those people who have pets, specifically, she's right now just dealing with dogs because that's predominantly, but she does deal with cats as well, so it probably will roll over into that as well. But looking at ways to keep pets with their people versus having to surrender them because you cannot afford to buy them pet food, so that you cannot afford to get them medication if they need it. So I know that that is in the definite works for the very near future. I will be helping her. Most of you know I am a pet lover. I've had dogs, cats, let's see, tortoises,
Husband,
lizards, birds. I've had them all. So I am very much a proponent of, if people have animals in their lives, that those animals bring a great deal of support, both emotional and, if they are service animals, serving a purpose in that way, keeping those animals with their people. And I think that this whole program, so keep your eyes and ears open. Again, it is in the very early planning stages, but I just wanted to get it out there if anyone is watching and you happen to go to that food pantry. Keep an eye open.
yeah,
That's
I deal with Wendy from the food pantry side too,
Right.
so she will, make sure that they in communication with me and I can discuss
Yes.
that.
Yes, and I gave Sandy your number as well, because she knows where I sit in all of this.
Okay.
And again, when you think about it, it's hard enough as a
You know what?
person.
Since we're talking about that too, what I'd like to possibly see, and maybe Sandy would be able to reach out, I'd like to see if there's an organization that has animals that come in for our children that are autistic, and to come in once a week, and
I've spoken to her about that, and
And-
that is sitting also in her craw. We're actually, I was trying to
and
train.
even adults, not even just children who are autistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is actually, I was just reading an article, it was online. There's an assisted living in, I believe it's Swampscott, that now has a therapy dog going in, and the residents can make an appointment to have a visit from
Yeah,
their very
that's
favorite.
something that I'd like to see brought into the city, even under the Commission on Disabilities, a therapy dog.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
would love to. And if I can get Luna to behave better, I think we could get her on board.
Yeah.
But
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe Pauline, maybe you and maybe Robert want to join forces on that and see if we
I
could
would
probably
love
start a program like that.
I was
I
actually,
wanted to do it back in the day when I was at Paul Revere. I wanted to start that. I
Yeah.
thought it was an integral part of not just having the animals go in, but animals can also be very calming and very reassuring for certain people. And
Right.
if someone's having a particularly difficult day, sometimes that stimulation, that kind of stimulation, which is very, very low key, which is very, very quiet, is just enough to bring that person back to a level where the communication can be a positive one, where it's not the fighting, where it's not you're not hearing me, you're not listening, that type of thing. And I think that it's extremely, extremely important to continue looking at the roles of not just dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, any sort of animal that can bring that sense of peace, calmness, and just an importance, a mutual importance between the person and the animal. I think it's very important. So
Yeah.
I would love to see it, and I would be more than happy to take it on with my friend Robert. I think we can.
I was
do
I was
something.
actually gonna cherry pick off of your question, and then I can touch base. I could touch
Sure.
on what Ralph was asking. It sounded like that there's times where there's dogs there, or just in animals in general. But the question, I guess, would more refer to dogs
Mhm.
that are trained, but the owners can't keep them, afford them, what the case may be. So you said foster them. Now, do you know if the reason why I ask is, and to back to Ralph's point, is I'm actually I was looking at, for the last couple of months, I've been looking for a dog, that because they
Okay.
do have dogs that are bred and specially trained for autistic children and adults, that their majority is to take care of them while they are stimming or
Mhm.
having an issue. There's of course the range of the stimming aspect. They'll lay on you in the terms of like a weighted blanket. But
Yep.
my point being is that they are anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 for the dog,
Yes, they are. They're
and
extremely
insurance
expensive.
doesn't cover it,
No, I know.
as
I'm
well.
aware.
And so, as well as a couple of I think I reached out to about 6 or 7, and 4 of them are backed up for 2-3 years. Not even just train, because once you agree to it, then the dog has to train
Right.
for a year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was just that I would definitely be interested in talking, and absolutely.
Okay, so you and I are gonna arrange a time to either meet in person, or we can do it on Zoom, on FaceTime, whatever. And I have some really great information, and I can put you in connection with some people that might be able to help you along those lines. Um, you know, I do know that there are programs out there that try to pair dogs that have been in long-term foster care with caregivers meaning pairing them up with a person who, it's the mutual bonding more than anything. And if they can't walk them for whatever reason, they find someone to, I mean, my kids are always out walking our dog. I've walked other people's dogs. I know that there are people out there. Um, and to try to spin something off and find individuals that want to have a pet with them, but financially cannot assume the burden basically of not just the food, but the food, the medicine,
Medical.
the
Yeah.
veterinary bills. I
Yeah.
mean, those alone will put you in. And if you're already struggling with your own food insecurity in your own decision making, like do I buy, do I pay for the oil for my home, or do I pay for a loaf of bread? And that might be an extreme, but maybe not. At this point in everyone's life, everyone is in a different everyone's in the same situation, but just on different boats. And no two situations are going to be alike. But nobody should have to say, I have to give up my animal of whether it's
Right.
1 month, 10 years. Nobody should have to be put in that position unless they physically cannot care for that. I mean, if it's a question that the animal is now going to not be taken care of appropriately, then, we're talking about the whole ball field. But if it's the case that I really want my pet to stay, but I can't afford the food, things such as that. And I think that that's, where that piece of it is headed. Not to say that it's going to just be channeled there. I think that there is a whole host of individuals, organizations that can be matched, that can be supportive of each other, where we can maybe get some positivity back in the world. I mean, I sound like something out of Disney, but the world needs a little bit of positivity at this point. And I see that through animals. I always have since I was small. That's just
Well,
me.
especially,
Other people say
well,
couldn't be.
no, I agree with you. You're 100% correct. And they're good for keeping blood pressure down, animals, not realizing it. But I think it's just the way they are, especially cats. They have that. It's just the way they are normally, but dogs are the same thing. It's just, I have to agree with you. And especially when we see the things on the news these days, we need that type of stuff to try to have some positivity, something left.
Yeah,
Because-
and I think that
Right, yeah.
there's so much that can be done. I think it's such a narrow area that has not been delved into because there aren't enough people to kind of get the ball rolling, keep it rolling. Like I said, I've known Sandy now for 22 years and 3 dogs and my 3 kids. And I look at her with a variety of pets, mostly dogs I see her with. And I've seen her have a command over them. And it's her energy that she channels into them, and then they give that back. And it's just such a tremendous thing to watch. And for her to want to outreach and try to help the city, through her experiences and through what she has, I commend her for wanting to, she doesn't need to do that. That's not part of her quote job or whatever, but she sees a need and she wants to jump on it. And so, as her friend, I have agreed to help her. And, I just see positive things coming out of this if it's done the right way and slowly and with some kind of structure. So, Robert, but you and I will absolutely chat about this and see what we can do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm available with whichever you prefer, in person or a Zoom call.
Great.
I know I'll wait till the end. I know you have an open questions at the end, right, Ralph?
Well, we could do it. Well, no, we do it now. The open, that's for the public, if
Okay.
it's public.
I was curious on if this is the platform to talk about maybe hosting an event in the summertime, spring/summer. Because I've also, go ahead.
The events, the only thing is we can't plan events through meetings. That would be a proposal that would come through because of, this was brought up at one of the CODA meetings. It's not the Commission on Disabilities meetings is not supposed to be used to plan events per se. What we would do is we could internally do it. Like if there's an event that you wanted to structure, we could, do it by email if it's city run, or you could do an initiative on yourself and do it that way. So that's how those are supposed to be. And I really didn't know that until somebody brought that to the attention on one of the meetings that I had. But yeah, that's something that we can put in an email if there's some type of event that you want to do. But the thing if it's a city, if it's something that you want to do as an event, anything that's going to be planned through the city has to go through the city. It doesn't go through a specific department.
Yeah, I would basically spearhead the whole thing, and I wouldn't, it was because it would be, more or less, my idea. So I wouldn't expect, any kind of,
Yeah, so it would just like,
anything on the city side.
yeah, it would just be approval to do it through the city on the city. We can
Okay.
talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no,
Okay, perfect.
like how like Road to Revere, they do that their own initiative. You know how Road to Revere does that, and then Cpac used to have like the autism walk, things like that. So they do it that way. But because we're a municipal, we fall under City Hall, we can't do it as a Commission on Disabilities.
No, of course.
We can volunteer and help, as a volunteer, help out with,
Right.
if something's planned or set up a table or things of that nature. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that? I have one more late item that I wanted to mention that wasn't on the agenda. It's just informational. Someone had reached out to me, Sarah Nietzschman from the DPPC, which is Disabled Persons Protection Commission, had reached out to me, and she's been reaching out to different Commission on Disabilities that they would like to come and do a presentation. What the Disabled Person Protection Commission is they want to make sure that local commission on disabilities are aware of their services and how to communicate the abuse reporting hotline they maintain. So I asked Pauline to contact her to set up a date that they would come to our Zoom meeting. And I believe she has like a 10 or 15-minute presentation that she would do. I know I was forewarned from a couple of other commissions that had her. It can be a little graphic because it gets to the nuts and bolts of some of the abuse that does happen out there. But we have is it the May meeting we're going to be inviting her
Yes,
to?
the May meeting, we have her.
Yeah, so she's going to be at our May Commission on Disabilities Zoom meeting. So I just wanted to let everybody know. So she'll be on the agenda for that month. So I think it'll be very informative. So people out there will know how to report abuse of, a disabled person. And there's a hotline that they'll be able to contact. And I believe she'll point out, what to look for, the signs and things like that. So I think it'll be very, very beneficial. Did she just talk to you by email? Or did you talk to her by
No, I
telephone?
talked to her in person. Not in person, over the phone. I did
Okay.
have an actual phone call with conversation with her. The other
Okay.
thing, Ralph, is there any way that we can get that more publicized I know that there are a number of both family members who are caring for disabled people in the city, and there's also, you have private individuals. Is there any way that we could get that particular meeting more? I mean, I wish we could get all our meetings publicized and get a better,
They're all on
outreach.
they're all on the city calendar on the
Right.
website, but I don't know, we could talk about maybe putting it in the paper.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is if, a lot of people do read the journal, and I know that,
Yeah. And we can
know,
advertise it maybe on Revere TV.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering that the more people we could reach with this,
Yeah.
after having a conversation with
yeah,
her.
if you want to try and figure out like
Okay.
how you want to word it, and then,
Okay.
then we can figure out on Revere TV, we could, social media blast it, maybe through Cpac, through the schools, Revere Journal, and figure out maybe elder services. I can send it to the senior center. They could possibly do it in there. I think they went to a quarterly newsletter.
Mhm.
So if it's a quarterly newsletter, I think that might come out in April.
Okay.
So if we can get it done, and then I can maybe see if I can put it in their quarterly newsletter.
Okay. I'll get
and-
something to you this week and see, if we can get it. I just think, after I spoke with her, for me, because mandatory reporting, whether it's elder abuse, whatever, mandatory reporting for me falls under a whole different category.
Mhm.
But I think that it's really important for people to hear, that there is help, that there are channels to go through, that, it's not something that you can just kind of sweep under the carpet and not say something. And even if you're not sure, or you just want to talk it through with someone, I think it's really important for people to know that there is support out there, especially where more and more stuff is falling on family members to take care of their own family members. And having been there and done that, I think it's very, very, I think it's a safe bet to say that people have questions and just don't know where to turn for it. And so I
Right.
think if we can get it out there that we have this, it's coming, tune in or get the transcript or get something. I think
Right.
that the more we promote it, I think that the better would be.
Ralph,
Well,
actually, there is one other thing. Now, I don't have the time to work into this, but I look into it. But I do know that, and I think it's false to Comcast as well, but I know on radio stations, they are required to play a certain amount of PSAs. So that wouldn't cost us money. So that might be something to look at that might get us the most exposure long term, but just also to put that out there, because we're talking about serious abuse, which is hidden most of the time, unfortunately, for the disabled and the elderly. Unfortunately, it is
Yeah.
hidden more than it is for just traditional domestic violence, which is
Right.
getting better retention. But it's not there enough yet. It's unfortunate.
Okay.
Something you might want to check and just see, because we don't want to get more advertising, you know.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Robert, you got any contacts anywhere?
I can, I'll definitely, if you want to shoot me over an email of a couple like brief things, I could definitely reach out to a couple of people, because I have a couple of things that I'm working on
Yeah,
myself.
to Pauline, when you send it to me, we'll send it to Robert too.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. All right. I have one other late item. It's kind of, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I received
ahead.
an email from Enza that she received an email for her reappointment, but she is going to unfortunately not accept the nomination for reappointment from the mayor's office, and is going to be stepping down at the end of this term. So that's why she won't be, she's not at the meeting. But she wanted to share that she has had a tremendous time on the Commission on Disabilities. She's learned a lot. She will still do what she can and send us the monthly information for Cpac. And if anybody still has any questions or concerns, she's still there to reach out to her. So she, it comes with a heavy heart to say, she's been with me since the beginning of the inception of the Commission on Disabilities. I hate to see her go, but it's what she needs to do at this time. So we will be having an opening on the Commission on Disabilities. So I just wanted to let everyone be aware of that, and she wanted to thank everyone and let everyone know that she is still around. And if anyone still needs anything, she can still reach out to her, and she's still involved with Cpac.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Next is, I just want to check. There's no one in the waiting room. Item number 6 was residents' concerns, issues, questions, open forum.
I do have one other thing, Ralph.
Yeah.
We need to at some point bring up, and one of the things out there, and I'm finding more bizarre. I met with a lady who specializes, works for the state, but she also is a liaison to Social Security. And what we're finding is that a lot of the attorneys are wonderful at getting the people on SSDI or SSI, but they're not there to help people keep it. And when Social Security makes a lot of mistakes, like I've run into recently, there's no help to really get through that. And to pay an attorney on your own is not that easy. And on top of that, not all of them know the work rules that are associated with that. So something we might want to put out there, because that affects those with disabilities, because when they're pushing people to get back to work, there's a lot of things that you qualify for that allow you to keep it, but they make that very hard. And they don't always know what the left hand and right hand is doing in the SSA, unfortunately.
Do you have somebody that would attend one of our meetings?
I'm working on that, trying to see if there's any way to do that, but I just didn't know if we could, along with that, put anything out there. Maybe I know you have other commissioners, just because there's other things going on. And it just seems to be, it's a real problem. She was saying that it's really hard to even get, I guess a lot of people are also afraid of SSI, which I don't know why they would be, but they beat a lot of people up, shall we say. So even attorneys. And the ALJs, unfortunately, tend to favor the SSA, which is awful. And somebody who then did what people wanted, and now they come back and say, we want thousands. Yeah, well, that's kind of awful. Long term. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if you can find somebody that wants to come and talk and discuss it, we can have them at one of our meetings.
That'd
yeah,
be good.
just something that we can put out there. And if anything, you guys find out how you guys talk to more people than I do. I'm, working for the state. I'm kind of hidden sometimes, as I would like to be out there more. But it's not easy.
All right. Okay. Anyone else have anything? Item number 7 is the reminder. Actually, Pauline, if you've seen it, it's a little bit different. If you read it in the, you have the, did I send it to you? Yeah, I did.
I have it.
Yeah, if you want to read it,
I
it
would be
changed
happy
it a little bit.
Sure. The Commission on Disabilities is trying to limit in-person appointments while we set up a new permanent location. Residents can speak to staff from our 311 Constituent Service Center Monday through Friday when you call our office at 781-286-8267. They will be able to answer most questions, but if they are unable to, or if you would like a call back from our department, please ask to be transferred to the Disability Office's voicemail, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. As always, please let us know if you would like something discussed or brought up and added to our monthly meeting agenda. You can let us know if you would like to speak on any issue or concern. The Commission is here to help and assist all the disabled residents and families of Revere.
Thank you. So our next steps basically is Pauline and Robert are gonna look into the animal program. Also, Pauline is going to put together some type of information for our meeting that we will have with the DPPC joining us at our May Commission on Disabilities meeting. And I believe those are the 2 items that we have that will be next steps for the following month's meeting. Did I remember everything? Was there anything else?
We're also going to talk, Pauline, together about
Yes.
about maybe getting the outreach of the network
Yep.
of people to, spread the word and,
Mhm.
more public. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that was all included in
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Now at this point, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Mario made a motion to adjourn, and I have a second.
Motion
I
to
will.
adjourn.
Robert will second it.
Okay.
Mario made it. So our next meeting via Zoom will be Tuesday, April 12th at 6 p.m. Thank you so much for your time. And if anything comes up from now to then, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone else on the commission.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Have a good month. Take care.
Have a nice night now.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.